So I'm speaking with David Crownson. It's a quite a treat. It's a pleasure. David, tell me all about Harry Tubman Demon Slayer. Where would you like to begin?
Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer started out as just like a fun idea that I got while I was traveling. Um, I think I had left the country. I moved to Ghana, West Africa, for a couple of months. I auditioned for this independent movie. My background is in acting, and I had auditioned for this independent film called Star Wars: The Force Awakens, and I didn't get it. Um, the small little movie uh, called Star Wars: The Force Awakens, directed by an unknown art house director named Jeffrey James Abrams. Um, so I auditioned and got really close to getting it,
Oh, wow.
and and didn't get it. I think like yeah, John Boyega got it, and I was crushed. So
Oh my God.
yeah, John Boyega got it, and I just decided, okay, I'm gonna take a break from acting. And my family is really from Ghana, West Africa, so I moved to Ghana, West Africa, and great experience. And one day I was like watching um a documentary about Harriet Tubman. And Harriet Tubman is like hugely celebrated in Ghana because they trace her roots to Accra, in Ghana. So like, I'm in Ghana and I'm watching this documentary about Harriet Tubman. I'm loving life. And once that documentary ended, I started channel surfing and I landed on like the ending of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. And the Crouch Tiger, Hidden Dragon, it's the scene where Michelle Yeoh and Zhang Zi have like this big like sword fight scene. Um, and I think right when that was, uh, immediately after that, I started watching Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, which was a terrible movie. Did not like it. Uh, no disrespect to the filmmakers and cast and crew. It just didn't resonate with me. So I'm writing in my journal because it was my first time outside of the country. This is like I want to say 2015, and writing in my journal, and these three things kind of stood out to me. Because it was like a stream of conscious writing, just kind of documenting like what my day was. And the things that stood out to me were Harriet Tubman, katanas, and witch hunters. And then I was like, wait, Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer. Like, what if Harriet Tubman like new martial arts, like the choreography of Crouching Tiger, and like beats up a racist werewolf or something like that. I don't know. It just like was like just the imagery of like that just stuck in my brain. So yeah, I didn't know what it was yet. I just liked the idea and the name. And then when I was traveling back to America, I think I was in one of those like overpriced like bookstores. I had like a layover somewhere,
Mhm.
and there was a book by one of my favorite comic book writers, Brian Michael Bendis. He had a book called it's called Words for Pictures.
Yeah.
It's just about how to write comic books. And I was just like, oh, wait, that's it. Like, I'll make it a comic book, right? I didn't buy it from there because it was like $88. I ended up like, I think I ended up ordering it on Amazon for like $11. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I always do that.
yeah, I'm not gonna spend $80 in this airport. No way. So I just ordered it, and read it and just kind of like learned the craft of comic book writing. So it's a really good book. Um, and thankfully, like my background, I had experience with acting and with playwriting and screenwriting. So writing comic books was kind of like a natural progression.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so yeah, I just spent a year researching the real life Harriet Tubman, learning more about comic book writing because I'm a comic book fan and I read a ton of comic books, but it's a different muscle to go from reading and being a fan to being like, oh, I'm creating stuff now.
Mm-hmm.
So researched a ton of Harriet Tubman, and then like had to kind of go, okay, this is still like a comic book, and it still has to be fun. Um, and so I started researching Django Unchained, and just kind of like watched Django Unchained a bunch of times just to study it, and then rewatched the entire season or series of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, because I'm like, okay,
Oh.
I think this is the sweet spot of what Harriet Tubman should be. It should
Mm.
feel like it should be Django Unchained, but in the world of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like, what does that look like? That like already like heightened spaghetti western feel, but oh, okay, like vampires exist and werewolves and demons, like that, like the Buffy world building I wanted to be superimposed onto Django Unchained, and that's where we are.
Oh
And
my God.
yeah, and just started, working on, okay, what story do I want to tell in this, and what do I have to say about Harriet Tubman, and also kind of figure out like those emotional beats to hit, and also still like having some fun because it's called Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer, like it's a fun title.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, and just really hone in and focus on that. Um, and what else did I do? And then I had to like make the comic book once the script was done, and I had, still I didn't even know what the world. I had no artist picked out yet, and I found Cortland Ellis, who drew the iconic cover. Um,
Yeah.
and I just said to him, I found him on Facebook, and I said, "Hey man, I want you to draw this cover uh, for me. It's for my next book." He's like, "Oh, what's it called?" It's called Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer. And he's like, "We're gonna get in a lot of trouble. Let's do it." And he drew. I think I pitched him the cover. I just said, "Oh, I want Harriet Tubman just staring at us. I want it to be like a really intense thing." And then he was like, "Okay." And he drew this like amazing, like iconic cover.
Yeah.
Like,
Iconic's the right
I
word.
yeah, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Sorry, I don't know if I can curse on this.
Of
I'm
course.
sorry.
No, go for
Okay,
it.
I was like, "Holy
Fuck yeah. How's that?
yes." So basically, he made this really iconic cover, and then I just kind of sat on it for a few months, and I paid him, of course, and then I just kind of just released it to my friends on Facebook. You know, because I hadn't like announced. My friends know I'm an actor at the time, but they didn't know I was a comic book creator. So I said, "Hey guys, I'm getting into comic books. What's it called? I'm just making this comic book because I think it's fun. It's called Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer, and just released the cover. And then I went to go see like Captain America: Civil War. Actually, no, that's not true. This was 2016. I forget. I saw some movie in July. I don't remember what it was.
But it was great.
It was yeah, but the only movie that I remember seeing in 2016 is Captain America: Civil War, because I loved that movie. So I went to go see this movie. It was sometime in July, and I came out of the movie, and I think like my phone was blowing up, and I got a bunch of notifications. There was a whole think piece. They're like, "Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer, what does this mean?" And people were arguing in the comments about like, should this be made? And I was like, wait, what? And yeah, people were really hyped about the comic, and they were really, excited about it. So uh yeah, like, and I got nervous 'cause I've never experienced that much attention. Like at this point in my life, or in the beginning of this process, I'm just used to talking to like a few of my friends about the things that I do. I talk to like four of my friends about the shit that I'm gonna be working on. But now like 10,000 people have an opinion about something I said. And it was really like, I got really nervous and scared because some people were just like, "Yo, fuck you, fuck David Crownson," and I'm like, "Oh my god, you don't even know me,"
Oh,
you know? you know, like just people being mean on the internet, you know. And
Was
then I
this
just decided,
was this
say again.
predominantly Facebook or? Of
Oh yeah, it was like it was
course.
Facebook, Twitter. I'm gonna take a sip of my little energy drink. And yeah, people were just being really mean. And then like I considered quitting just because of that, because like I'm not used to that type of attention. And my friends were great and supportive. I think my friend Erica was just like, hey, like don't worry about the haters, like you made something cool. Like the best that they can do is type mean things on Facebook. You actually created something that was in your brain that looks cool, so
Exactly.
focus on that. And I was like, thanks, Erica. And yeah, so I think I was trying to find like an investor at the time, because making comic books is really expensive. I think it was gonna. I was working at like a. I was working at a. I used to work at a promotional product company, and I worked like in the pet division of it. I worked in the. My job was literally to hit copy paste all day, but it was a great job because I would just like hit copy paste and like binge watch TV shows all day. An amazing job. I missed it.
I love those
Um,
jobs.
yes, yes. Like it was such an amazing job. I miss it. I'm so sad they decided to close down. Um, but yeah, it was an amazing gig. Um, what's it called? So I didn't have enough money to like pay for the comic though, because like comic books are like 7,000, sometimes 10,000 a comic, and so I was trying to partner with investors, and I found an investor, this guy who allegedly is an indie film uh, producer and financier, and I think he wanted to give me. We were going to make an agreement that he was going to like invest like maybe $40,000 into Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer, and I said, "Cool." And his only thing was, "Hey, I want to be a producer because this will get picked up as a TV show. I need to be assigned as a producer." And I said, "All right, cool, awesome." Uh, Terrible deal, everyone. Don't
Oh,
do that. Uh, like, unless it's like a guy that has experience doing film and TV stuff, then you do it. So, but this guy like had made a bunch of crappy like D level horror films that weren't very good, and also he wasn't the nicest guy because he made a bunch of promises, and we were getting a contract together, and he never delivered the money. And I said, "Hey, man, because he's supposed to deliver the money before Halloween, and he kind of canceled, and then we just never got to meet. And then I ended up having to reschedule because I had work. Um, this is before like Zoom and stuff, or where people like regularly used Skype. Um, so like everything had to be in person. This is like 20 again. I want to say October 2016. Um, and I said, "Hey man, sorry I can't meet up," or he would say, "Hey, I'm sick." And then I just kind of followed up saying like, "Hey, like, are you gonna deliver the financing for this so we can get started?" And I think he just said to me, he's like, "I'm tired of being hassled. I quit." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "I am too busy worrying about my big budget films. I'm talking to Will Smith. I'm talking to The Rock. Okay. I don't need to be hassled by you and your little project that's not even going to make me any money." And I'm like, what the hell? And I wanted to say to him, I'm like, bro, like you kind of make like D level, like not even straight to video because it needs to even be distributed. Just kind of like D level horror films. Um, okay, you have a nice life. Like maybe this is a blessing in disguise.
yeah, exactly.
Um, so yeah, so it didn't work out with him, and I was kind of sad because I'm like, man, like how am I gonna make this comic book? I want to pay Cortland, and I really want to do this because I think I was trying to get in with a few. I was trying to get in with Dark Horse. I was trying to get in with a few other like indie publishers, and I had been um, they all said the same thing. They're like, "Hey, we kind of need to see more from you in this submission process. We can't just like go off on a cover and idea. We need a full blown comic book." So I just wanted to make the comic book at least.
Yeah,
Um,
that makes sense.
yeah, and so so basically, I said, "All right, I'm just gonna take a break from doing this comic book. It's a lot of work. It's too much. I can't afford it. I don't want to do a Kickstarter because I'm scared of failing. Um, well, scared of failing publicly.
Oh yeah,
I'm not.
yeah, yeah,
I'm not afraid to like fail in front of like seven of my friends, but failing in front of like a few thousand people. At the time, I was really nervous about it. So, um, so I basically just said like, let me just focus on acting. I had another script that I was working on, and I was just like, let me just focus on that, and also I was like, shit, I have to vote tomorrow, and I'm like, man, I can't believe like we're gonna have our first female president, like wow, and just like I can't believe Donald Trump was running for president, like that's such a weird time. Like, and I was like thinking about that. I was like, man, so weird. Like, if he becomes president, he'll never become president. But if he did become president, like, I think it would be a train wreck, and all these racist people would come out of the woodwork. But that's not gonna happen, man. Anywho, so I'm gonna go vote for Hillary Clinton and go see. I forgot. It was that Mel Gibson movie where Andrew Garfield's in it. Um, So the next day, um, the next day, Donald Trump is president, um, and eh, well, I don't know what everyone's political leanings are, but in my area, I think I was living back in New Jersey at the time because I was in between New York and New Jersey, and I was living in a very like rural area and kind of a country area in Jersey, and people were just kind of like um that there was a lot of like hate crimes that had been happening since like Trump had been elected,
Hmm. Yeah,
unfortunately. Um, and I remember, and mostly against like Muslim people, and like it was kind of like radicalizing people and emboldening people.
yeah.
So I just remember like uh just being sad, and I was talking to a friend of mine, and she was like, "Man, Dave, I've been crying all day. Um, what's going on with you?" And I said, I'm just kind of trying to get by, work at this job, and trying to make this comic book happen. She's like, what comic book? And I thought it's called Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer. And I just told her about like the first issue and the script. And she's like, I need to see that comic book today. I'm like, what? He's like, David, you'll understand. Like, as a black woman, we need that imagery. We
Hmm.
need to see like a dark skinned black woman killing racist right now, racist demons. Like that needs to exist. You need to put all your eggs into that basket and make it happen. So I was like, okay. And I wasn't gonna do it until like I saw like you like I had seen like at my Walmart in the area. I saw this woman who was a Muslim woman being antagonized by like a group of like older white guys, and I just thought it was like in like trucker hats and stuff, and and I'm like, wait, what? Like, how come that's a thing? uh I gotta make this comic book because if you're like racist, you should be ashamed of it. Like I think this should exist. And then I did the Kickstarter, and we I think made a big ask for 15,000, and we ended up raising $21,000 during the holiday season, and self-published the first issue because at the time I thought like a dark horse or someone else was going to pick me up, and like it didn't happen. which is perfectly fine because I got to start my own company down the line.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, and just have ownership over all my IPs. Um, so none of that happened. And then again, just got to self-publish my own thing. And then the book got really popular, did a bunch of sales, and within 6 months, had a bunch of TV and film offers, and one of them, it did end up getting optioned. It didn't work out for whatever reason, and then I just said, let me just focus on making comic books, and just kept making more comics, more chapters of Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer. And then the pandemic happened. um, and then ended up meeting or just catching up with my friend Sebastian Jones, who runs Stranger Comics, and his producing partner Prentice Penny, who produces my one of my favorite TV shows, Insecure. And Prentice and him were doing a venture together to adapt independent comic books, to giving those indie comics like attention on a big scale, um, through a partnership they have with Disney. Um, so they were like, "Hey, do you mind if we like adapt your comic book or develop it for TV?" And I was like, "Yeah, go ahead." Um, so like, so yeah, and that's been the journey, and I've been doing a lot of conventions, um,
Hmm.
and like the comic has been selling out at most conventions I do, and yeah, and it's been great, and it's been a dream to work with Prentice, because he's
Yeah.
so smart and knows his stuff when it comes to film and TV and just character, and also he because again, Insecure is one of my favorite TV shows, and I think when I first heard Sebastian was working with him back in 2018, I didn't say like, "Hey, put me on." I just said, "Hey, man, congratulations! He's a great person, and I love his film. I love his films. I love his TV shows." Um, and just a dream come true, just to like have him talk to me and be like, "Hey, I read the comic book. I think we should approach Harriet like this, and this."
Hmm.
Or sometimes he'll give me ideas for things, right? So yeah, it's just been like I'm really grateful for the ride. It's just weird to go from like, I had this goofy idea in 2015 that was fun, and now flash to 2023, and even though like we're on a writer strike, so we're on a break, it's like, all right, we think this should be a big budget thing, and I'm like, wait, what? It's a big budget thing now. um and who's gonna play Harriet Tubman, and who's gonna direct these episodes, so it's been a great, uh fun experience. Very grateful.
Oh my goodness. So you've got the writer's strike. So all of these things are kind of on pause. You're anticipating what's gonna happen next. God, what a beautiful moment to
uh,
be in. Of course, you want to get past it, but right now just savor the moment, I guess, for what it
Oh
is.
yeah, like for me, I'm just grateful to be in the position,
Oh yeah.
and also grateful that like, because like I've had, Prentice isn't the first person to approach me, or Disney isn't the first, they're not the first people to approach me about optioning this. And yeah, not the first, but the people who were the first, sometimes I think at the time I just was signing it because I just wanted to get it done, which isn't the best motivation. I think when you're making a comic book, just kind of focusing on just making the comic, and focus on making it good, and also having a side job that you don't hate.
Yeah.
having having a side job that doesn't crush your soul each morning to wake up and go to, um just to keep yourself going and keep yourself moving
That's
to
so
the next
important.
step. Yeah,
It's important.
and I get like, mhm. Yeah, yeah.
It's
Oh,
important
yeah.
to. I'm sorry. It's important to have a job. I'm sorry, folks, but
Oh, yeah.
the reality is you need a job, and there's some jobs that are so soul sucking. But like you say, if you can get that sweet spot, a job that you could almost do in your sleep, that you almost look forward to going to, that's great. That's golden. You can maintain that job to get to where you need to go next.
Oh, yeah. Like me, I just wanted a job that I could just go to, make a good amount of money to support myself.
Yeah.
I think one of the worst jobs I ever had was working. I worked at a. I think it was a t-shirt. It was a t-shirt. I worked at a factory. This was the low point. um, I don't even remember how I got this job, but I think I used to work there from 6 p.m. I had two really terrible jobs. One was, I think we used to make like t-shirts or like high school like football jerseys. And I think I was in charge like all the spray, but a totally unhealthy job because they didn't give us like a mask to like
Oh,
cover our faces from the fumes. Yeah, and they were always late paying us. Like every 2 weeks, they would be like, "Hey, you gotta show up for work," but they were always late paying me. Horrific job. And I think the second worst job I ever had, I worked at a door. No. Factory jobs are not where it's at. I worked at a door factory, where we had to basically, and this door factory literally makes every single door. Um, they garage doors, office doors, even like doors for like a pool house. And my job was just to load the doors into tractor trailers and do that from 4 p.m. till 4 in the morning.
oh my
And
God.
and it's a horrific job because you can't like you can't like the job like it can't sustain. You can't like everyone quits after a year. You know, I think I quit after like maybe I want to say 5 weeks. I was just like, yeah, I can't do this because like I kept having a bunch of like lower back issues. Um, but yeah, those were my low points, and then I just went into like waiting tables, which was like, okay, I can kind of do this and make some money. But yes, have a job. Um, for your mental health, please try to find a job that you can like that like okay, like this pays me money and I don't completely hate it. So, but yeah,
Well,
life is short.
that's exactly right. God, there's so much you could say on the subject of jobs, but let me just move back to. I just want to say that what you laid out, how you came up with Harriet Tubman being in Ghana, all of that, it just rings so true. It's like a genuine moment. Like I was wondering, is this something that like ties into Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Slayer, or was it some sort of gimmick? But no, it all it just rings so true, like so authentic. The details you provided about being in Ghana, seeing a crouching tiger, all of those little details that added up.
Thank you. Like, yeah, but that's the thing. Everyone always says like, "Hey, man, did you watch Abraham Lincoln and get inspired to just do Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter with someone black?" And I'm like, no, like I've never seen Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Never read the book. Never watched the movie. Um, Hilariously, when I did get the idea for Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer, I did order that book as well on Amazon, and the same time I ordered the How to Write Comics book, and they both came in the mail. And something told me not to read it. I'm like, let me do my own thing, so I don't like try and like bite off of it. Let me find other places that will inspire me, in essence.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, what does Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer feel like? And the Django of it all and the Buffy, two things also that I love, you know, and just focus on that. And plus, like I heard, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter didn't get good reviews. So I heard the book is great, but the movie I heard it wasn't great.
Hmm.
So my Harriet Tubman will have an Abraham Lincoln in it though. He's different from Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. 'Cause what I do know in that series, or actually, it's just one book actually. In Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, it's before he's president. Um,
Okay, that explains it.
Yeah, and my Harriet and in my version, Abraham Lincoln has been president. Because historically he's been president for like 10 years. For he's like halfway through his second term, and he's like older. He's not like in his like 20s. So I basically just marry what's it called? Uh, well, it hasn't come out yet, but like Abraham Lincoln he'll still like fight the paranormal. Him and Harriet Tubman they're gonna meet, but they're not gonna like each other. They're not gonna get along. So it's gonna be a fun like team up thing. So excited for that.
Man, I think that you've got so much confidence, and you're an actor to begin with. So you already have this one world that you navigate through. So you're not just a comics guy, and you've evolved into, I guess, a showrunner. Basically, you're like a Jordan Peele. It's amazing.
Yes, 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 yes. I'll take it. I am a Jordan Peele. I'm a better version than Jordan Peele. That's right. I love Jordan Peele. I think he's amazing and great. Yes, I'll take it.
Well, I think it was a blessing that we ended up starting a little bit later, because I know I always miss something on my interviews. Oh, wait, what else could I be doing? So I looked at some of your older interviews, one fairly recent with Edge of Vegaverse, and that was such an amazing interview. I love how casual and just chill it is. And you talk about this commercial, the Harriet Tubman commercial that kind of helped get things out into the world. Is that commercial still available, or is that
Yeah.
gone?
No, yeah,
Wow,
you can find it on YouTube,
I'll
and you
look it
can
up.
find it on yeah, I'll send you a link to it when we
Okay.
finish. Um yeah, I basically uh I think a writing partner colleague of mine, my friend Lex, he just said like, "Hey man, so like what do you have going on next?" And I'm like, "Oh man, like chapter 5 of Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer comes out, but I don't know how to like advertise it." And Lex just, he's a filmmaker. He's like, "Why don't you just make a commercial?" Um and I'll help you like put it together. And this is still like in the pandemic, and he's like, bro, I'll work on it with you for free, like just to help you out, or like
Wow.
for like a really cheap rate. Um, and I just like, and I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, man. Like, we'll just consider this a favor though. And I'm like, dude, I got you for life. So, yeah, we basically he drove from North Carolina just to film this with me, and I got a bunch of my friends to do it. And it was on like a shoestring budget. And I think I had like a choice of, because the pandemic, I had moved back in with my family, um, and I had made a little bit of money, and I had a choice of, do I use this money to like move back to New York, or do I shoot this commercial? And my ass decided to shoot the commercial, and it came out really good. And then I think I posted it on social media, and people loved it. it didn't go as viral as I wanted it to go. So I was so part of me was like a little bit disappointed, 'cause we had worked so hard on it and it looked so good. And I'm like, I'm just gonna I shouldn't be doing things for it to go viral. I should just be making things to make them, the right people see them, the right people see them. And within, I want to say, a week is when Sebastian, called me and just said like, "Hey man, like saw the commercial, it looks amazing. I showed it to Prentice and his team. They think it looks amazing. Like, what's happening with it?" And I'm like, he's like, is Harry Tubman going to be a film or a TV show? I'm like, I just did it. I just did it just today. He's like, you did it by yourself. I'm like, yeah, I did it with like not by myself. I did it with like a couple of friends of mine in like a farm in New Jersey. He's like, we should talk. Let's make this a TV show. Um, and just kind of laid it out like, yeah, we're leaving HBO, we're going to Disney. So how would you feel about us developing this to be on Disney? It'll probably end up on Hulu. Um, and I was just like, I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. So that was a lesson in that if you make something like and you post it on the internet, if it doesn't get like a billion views, if it gets maybe 500 views, but it's 500 of the right people.
Yeah, yeah.
Like 10,000 people who can't push the needle don't really matter, but if it's like 500, but if 10,000 people or 500 people see it, but those 500 people have relationships, they're into investing, they actually consume and will buy your comic or will introduce you to the right people, those like it's well worth it. Like at first I remember being kind of disappointed that it didn't perform well. Like it did perform well. It got a couple thousand views, but I was thinking like, oh, it's going to be all over the place, but it only had a couple views. So, but that's really what led to, um, you know, Prentice and the Disney's Onyx Collective, and like this Now TV thing, you know. So, very grateful for that. Very grateful for Lex and all my friends that helped me out to put it together.
Well, I just want to say I'm very grateful for the time you've given to me. I don't know, maybe I was lucky because I wrote a very heartfelt review. Maybe that sunk into your subconscious. I don't know, but for some reason you are so on your game right now. You provided what a beautiful interview. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. I just, you sent me an email, and I was like, okay. Um, and
Well, thank you.
I try to do as many interviews as I can, especially when I have the free time. And also there was a time where no one wanted to interview me, so just have to take some humble pie and remember that. So
Well,
so just grateful.